This is The Body's Compass with Matt Sorensen and today's guest, Kristen Shea. Kristen is a visibility coach who helps people find their true, authentic self-expression by getting rid of fears like being seen or fear of being themselves. If you have these fears and want to break through them, this is for you.
Welcome to The Body's Compass. I'm Matt Sorensen. Today I'm with a very, very interesting guest, a visibility coach. Now, I was told by Kristen, I learnt of Kristen via an old guest. And when he was explaining what Kristen does, for me, it was so, I knew, but I didn't know at the same time how many people kind of need this. Yeah. Because everyone often has some kind of identity thing with them. And a lot of people don't like being seen. And you are a visibility coach, which fascinates me. Yeah. So, Kristen, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Kristen, just so the listeners can get to know you and have a deeper sense of who you are and, you know, how your background is going to influence your viewpoints today. Can you share an overview of what has shaped you as a woman and what led you putting so much time and effort into the concept of being seen?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually spent most of my life terrified of being seen. Actually, up until 2 years ago, I always had this calling, this feeling, this knowing and desire to be seen in some ways, but I also had a deep desire to not be seen at the same time. And it was very paralyzing and something I didn't even have necessarily words for. And so I, created a life. I was working a very corporate job. I was a publicist. I was working with an agency and I was living this life that checked all the boxes. I live in Beverly Hills. I have a great job. I have money, like all these things. And yet I was deeply unfulfilled in my life and I couldn't really figure it out. And what was that thing that was missing? And so at 37, this is 2 years ago, at 37, I had to part ways with a narcissistic dynamic that was going on within my life, which also required me to leave my career, a lot of my family, a lot of my friends. It was essentially starting over. And I knew I wanted to create something. I knew I wanted to work with mission, heart-led souls. I just didn't know how to go about it. And I'm also a psychic and a channel. And so at that rock bottom, I had just walked away from that entire life that I had built. I was 37 and again, felt like I should have this figured out by now, right? Like I should be getting married, having kids, like doing all the things that everybody else seems to be doing and have figured out. And here I am at rock bottom. My rent is due in 3 days. I don't have a financial safety net. And I'm like praying, asking for help and asking for guidance. And the message that I got was share your channeled messages on TikTok. And that was like, I was like, absolutely not. Not only do you want me to be seen, but you also want me to come out of like the spiritual closet that nobody knows. And so I really fought that process. But eventually I posted. And then through overcoming my own fear of being seen, I realized the liberation that is on the other side of that. And I realized how deeply it impacts almost everybody in some capacity. And so it kind of set me out on this path.
That's incredible. Actually, your story kind of parallels mine because I was terrified as a kid to be seen or heard. But I feel like that was probably, I would have been shut down as a kid somewhere, and that really put me into my shell. I barely said a word until I was about 16.
Wow.
And then I spent a summer on a farm, working at a farm, and well, you can't survive on a farm without putting yourself out there to some degree.
Yeah.
And since then, I haven't shut up since, really.
Once it opened.
Yeah. But also I've got 4 older sisters and a stepmom. So I grew up with 5 women around the dinner table. So even if I wanted to say something, I probably couldn't have.
Right. Wasn't
at the best of times. And then, so Dad and I kind of had this telepathic communication thing going on. But then once the girls, they come of age, they meet the boy, move out, do the marriage and kids thing. And so I just thought that's how you do life. That's what
Right.
adulting. But once they started to go, I was still in my shell
Mm.
and I was petrified. I remember we had to do this thing for school where it was a minute on camera. And I didn't sleep for 3 days leading up to it. So I was that terrified. And I remember watching it back and I was and I was actually
Mm.
shaking the entire time
Oh.
until, that fateful summer. But also, I used to play rugby league sort of semi-professionally, and I had a sponsor. But a part of the condition of the sponsorship, I had to work with him on weekends, and he used to mow lawns. And he was the most outgoing, could not care less about anyone else's crap ever. So between those two, that really helped, I guess, me find me in a
Mm.
way. Um,
Wow.
I work with people quite a lot who have come to me with a variety of issues. And a common one is the pain they feel for not having a career they want.
Yeah.
So they want to change careers, but then imposter syndrome kicks in, which we all have it at some point. So what's your advice for people in those shoes?
Yeah. I think the first step is before you even really deal with the imposter syndrome, it's almost really looking at the limiting beliefs and the programs
Mm,
around being able to pursue a passion or your
mm,
purpose or your vision or whatever that soul calling is for you. Because I think, so many people, myself included, it was like you have this desire to do something else, but will it provide for you? Like
mm,
corporate feels so often, or just, the standard working environment so often feels like the safest place. And so that's kind of the first thing that you have to do is really reprogram those beliefs to understand that like the thing you're here to do, the calling that is on your heart is so divinely supported. And when you step onto that path, the way the people and all of the things are provided for, it just happens and it doesn't make sense. And so you almost have to restore that like faith in the
mm,
divine in that way. And then for the imposter syndrome, the only way to get over that is to understand where it's created from. And this is something that I do with all of my clients is like, it's a combination of that healing and figuring out like what are those core wounds, which are almost always fear, shame, guilt, anger, unworthiness, and scarcity. Those are like the core wounds under everything. Figuring out what is the one that is like really anchoring this wound in. And as you start to like piece that together, it's also taking action and creating proof for yourself. Your brain needs proof that
mm,
what you do is worthy, that you can do these things, that you won't give up when it gets hard. Like your brain needs to create new stories and new proof to actually anchor that in. So when
mm,
somebody's afraid to pursue that, I always recommend they do that inner work before they make that jump, because otherwise you make that jump and then it's just that self-fulfilling prophecy. And then you're going to
mm.
go right back to what you were already stuck in.
Yeah, it's funny how much we get caught up in the societal, you have to make X amount of money per week, month,
Totally.
whatever that is. But also I find that, so for example, my dad was an accountant for 52 or 3 years, and
Wow.
that's what I perceived adulthood to be. He'd come
Mm-hmm.
home tired and miserable every single day. And I remember seeing that as a kid thinking, I don't want to be an adult. Like
You're like, that's
what's
not
the
this is
point of
fun.
that?
Yeah.
And so I stayed a child psychologically because I didn't want to grow up because that's what that was. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until I kind of really started studying the check material and all that kind of stuff. And he was really the first person to show me, well, no, you can do it on your
Yeah.
own, but it's not the traditional way, if you want to call it that. But I was working as a greenkeeper, I remember, and my soul was slowly dying bit by bit by bit until I got to a point where I would say near depression. I was not in a good way.
Yeah.
And long story short, I got called in uh, one Christmas morning, and that's the lowest I've ever been. I was like, I can't anymore. But it was a stable job. I had a car, all that kind of stuff. And when I was studying personal training, my dad's quite, I think, naturally pessimistic.
Mm-hmm.
and he's got a problem for every solution. I love him, don't get me wrong, I'm not painting him really well here. But when I told him about the career change, it was just what if.
Yeah.
And I think it's really easy to get caught up in their belief.
Oh, for
really.
sure.
And I've been doing this now for 20 odd years, and he still can't comprehend what my day-to-day looks like, because it's sporadic as hell. There's no,
Right.
you can't really rely on it. But I think that also scares people as well, because there is no security.
Right.
But
You
within you, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can only invest in me and create value for me. But as you were saying, you've got to look yourself in the mirror and sort of be naked to a degree.
Totally. And that just scared me. Like the fact that I would have to be the true creator of my own finances in that way used to scare me. But now it's actually the thing that brings me the most comfort is like, I am my own economy. Like there is nothing outside of me. Like it is within me. And that the divine also always has us. So as long as we're willing to show up and take the action and do the thing, like we will always be provided for. Even when I wasn't provided for, I was provided for, right? I was just being like redirected in some way. But yeah, I think it is a big deprogramming, and it starts in school. They don't teach individuality, right? They teach compliance and silence. Like sit down, everybody's going to learn the exact same material the exact same way. This is, what you do. Now you go to college, now you do this. And so it's a huge program to clear that you can actually create something outside of what the world has told you is possible.
Not only that, but that you have to all study the same thing at the same time, the same way, but then you get tested the same as well. I was never academically smart at all. And my dad was. So that's my measure. And I remember crying myself to sleep because I couldn't figure out long division.
Oh, yeah.
And still today, I haven't used it. Isn't that funny?
We don't use any of that stuff, right?
Right. But yeah, I think, well, I don't know what the education system is like there. Here, it's not really, it's more designed, it's a babysitting system.
Yeah.
And my sister's a teacher, and we just babysit and throw facts at you, and you have to sit in a square box and just remember stuff. You're not going out and exploring and you're not making mistakes.
Right.
That's where you learn, because if you make a mistake, you're in trouble. No one wants to be in trouble as a kid. But that's a whole other childhood wound archetype episode in that.
Yeah, that's an episode in and of itself, right?
How does that look for you psychically with the, you're following that path, what society wants you to do, but then what your heart wants you to do?
Yeah. It really took me being at rock bottom and up against a wall to make that move and step into my gifts and step into my psychic channeling and to share it. And I think that's an ever evolving process. And even as a psychic, you can see, like, you can always tap, whether you're psychic, everyone's psychic anyways, but whether you've tapped into that gift or not, you can always see the possibility, the future timelines that are available to you. It's just, can you align yourself to it, right? Like, can you become the version of you that fully steps into that timeline? And that's really where I see everyone I work with is stuck between this identity that they feel trapped in, which I call the survival identity, and then the version of them that they're meant to become. And it's not until they get to that breaking point of like, my next level requires me to stop suppressing myself, that they actually kind of move through that. But my psychic channeling really helped me develop this process and this modality, because I had no idea how to overcome the fear of being seen. I didn't even know that's what I had, right? Like, I mean, I did, but like, I didn't really truly understand it. And what I saw out there was just, it wasn't aligned. It was like, we'll teach you how to go viral. We're going to teach you this cookie cutter funnel strategy. We're going to teach you like all these things. And it's like, those things just don't really work. Like, yeah, you need to know some of the basic marketing principles and stuff like that, whatever, but those things don't work. And that was one of my biggest fears, is I saw so many people try to go after what they wanted. Like, I had a lot of friends who wanted to do coaching and pursue this path, and it didn't work for them. And it's not because they weren't good at what they did. It was literally, they could not be themselves. And so that is like a requirement to grow on social media. You have to be able to be yourself. You have to be able to say the thing. And so, yeah, the psychic channeling played a huge part because it helped me channel in this whole modality that I teach now.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's what you triggered for me then. Do you know Dr. Dan Siegel? He's a
That sounds so
psychologist.
familiar, but no,
So
not.
you were talking about, you can see the different timelines, like all the probabilities
Yeah.
in our future, we'll call it,
Uh-huh.
and aligning yourself. And Dan Siegel defined the mind as the mind being a embodied and relational process that regulates the flow of energy information. So everything
Ooh,
that's made up that we
yeah.
know is energy and information.
Yeah.
So until we, in our mind, we embody what we want, that's when we get what we want.
Yeah.
As you were saying, you have to align with that,
Yeah. You have to
which
become
often,
it. Become. And the thing is, and I think a lot of people in this space, I really like what you just shared, by the way. I'm going to have to look him up. You said Dr. Dan Siegel.
mm,
I'm going to look him up. I love it. But the thing that so many people also mistake is that you have to create a new identity, or you have to like
mm,
create the alter ego or something like that. And the thing is, like, it already exists within us. Who
mm,
we like, our highest expression, our highest potential, it already exists within us. And
mm.
so it's like, you don't have to become necessarily something new. You have to peel back the layers that are keeping you from being yourself. Because that's what the fear of being seen is. It's a fear of being yourself.
And that's, as Joseph Campbell would say, that's the privilege of a lifetime. It's just
Yes.
being yourself, especially in this culture. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, not only is it the fear of being seen, but it's also when they become themselves, their authentic self.
Hmm.
It can be quite isolating
Yeah.
for a
Of
lot of
course.
people because their friends can change, or
You're going to.
career change. Yeah, yeah.
It's not even a can, it's going to, because most of the people and that is, you do have to let go of an old life. Most of the people
Mm,
that are around you are very used to a very suppressed version of you. They're used
mm,
to often people pleasing, over giving, like the silencing, I think so many of the people I work with, they're so talented. They're like the go-to person for solving problems, the one who handles it all, all the things. And when you stop like giving away your energy like that and you start to become who you are and speak and say and do, it's like those people aren't in resonance with you.
mm.
You
I think
change.
for me as well, when I see patients,
Hmm.
it often correlates with a fear of death, and not
Ooh.
in a I'm going to have a heart attack tomorrow kind of death, but death is just a transition.
Yeah.
If anything's energy and information, energy can't die; it can only transform. But
Yeah.
they would perceive, if I'm working in a job that I hate or really not aligned with, and I can feel it with every cell in my body, but my heart tells me to work with animals, let's say,
Yeah.
then a part of me has to die.
Yeah.
But that part of me has to die for me to resurrect and follow
Hmm.
the heart. But it takes a lot of spiritual kahunas
It
to
does.
follow that. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's uncomfortable. It's a difficult process. It's certainly not easy, but it is so worth it on the other end. And that
Mm,
that authenticity, that frequency, it does the work for you. So it's like
mm,
the ego death is the hard part, but the other side, it's like life gets so much easier. You don't have to worry about all the marketing tactics. You don't have to worry about
mm,
like chasing the algorithm or, is this person my partner? Are they in alignment with you? Like everything happens for you.
mm.
Your frequency it weeds out what isn't for you. It attracts what is. Like it's just such an easier life once you get there. But the process
Yeah,
is definitely, it's a challenge.
it's like the saying, "The cave you fear to enter most holds the treasure you seek."
Yeah. So true.
Yeah. Now, the common theme that comes up often as well, that when people say they want to do something, personal or professional, especially with athletes,
Mm,
people having aspirations to perform at a very high level, there is an
yeah.
underlying fear of success. So, what are
Yeah.
your thoughts in that regard?
Yeah, I think I definitely had this, and it's still something I unravel. I won't say that I've, fully overcome or mastered that, but I think so often what we associate success with is some form of a sacrifice or a cost. Like it's going to be
Mm,
harder, it's going to take more time. We're going to lose something. We're going to lose our freedom, our relaxation, our comfort, our people. Like it's usually something along the lines of that. And like this, for me, it was always like, oh, this is going to be more responsibility. I already feel tired.
mm,
I don't necessarily want to take on more. So I kind of built things up in my head. What is it? Like, what is my responsibility if I have a social media following, and what
mm,
does that look like? And then, I had everyone else's stories in my head of like, oh,
mm,
you're going to have to post this 3 times a day. You're going to have to speak on whatever political topics are going on. Like all of these things where I was just like, that feels so overwhelming.
mm,
And so the first thing you really need to do is like figure out the stories that you're telling yourself, and are they even yours? Like none of those were
mm.
mine. Those were things that I just heard and then took on as a belief. Um, and then really understand like what are you associating success with, and what is the fear over that one specific thing? Is it more responsibility? What's your relationship with responsibility? Can we make it
Mm.
fun? Can we make it easy? Can we retrain the nervous system to understand a different way of doing things? I would
Yeah,
say that's where I would start.
I find a lot of it has to do with guilt as well. I know
Mm,
I was I was rehabbing a rugby player. Oh, when was that? Let's say 2 years ago. And he was making 800, 900 ish a year plus sponsors and all the stuff that comes with it. But he was
yeah.
giving most of it away because he felt
Wow.
that he didn't deserve it. So he was
Wow.
carrying his neck injury was actually, we traced it all the way back. He didn't get injured in a tackle or anything like that, but he was holding so much guilt. We hold guilt in the lung attaches to the neck. And until we got through the guilt stuff, his neck just completely freed up. Like he just took a weight
Wow.
off his shoulders. It was really, really incredible. It's kind of
That's
cool to
yeah.
be that with him. And he
How long did
just,
it take for you guys to get to the root cause of that?
uh, he was very resistant at first. But he was just at a point where it's like, well, all the massage and all the needling, the physio, that helps for a day. But he was just at the point where like, screw it, let's just
Yeah.
play with it. But he had to get into so much pain for him to
Ooh,
start listening
yeah.
to that. And yeah, now he's loving life, but he had a lot of
Mm,
guilt, and it was largely kind of mum, dad, and stuff. And yeah, on the responsibility thing, I think to have responsibility requires you to be an adult.
yeah.
An adult is someone who they own their shit, right?
Mhm.
They say what they mean and they mean what they say.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say they're going to do something and they don't do it, which
Yeah.
brings them psychologically back into the child archetype.
Yep.
So then they become a child wanting the adult thing, not really having the capacity to do the embodying thing that we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
So they just keeps them stuck, and then they start throwing tantrums like kids do. But as
Yeah.
an adult, there's more options, let's say, for tantrums, and more medicine, we'll call it as well. And
Yeah.
the
That's true.
responsibility, I read ages ago a really nice definition of responsibility, which is your ability to respond.
Mm. So basic. Yeah, but so profound.
Yeah, and I think there's just a lot of depth into that
Yeah.
as well. I find many people have fear of being seen or being heard, largely due to something that's happened to them when they were a child. For example, mum or dad telling them they weren't good enough, or they won't equate to anything, or they don't deserve ... What's your message to those who can't seem to quite break free of that?
Mm. You know, you can break free from everything. There's nothing that you can't break free from. I have had some clients where that's certainly the case, but usually they are actively making a choice to not overcome that thing. Like
Mm,
at some point becomes a choice, right? Where
Mm,
you really choose to stay stuck because you can only do so much of the inner work. And the people that I find who are stuck in that situation, they're not willing to take action.
mm,
So they're doing a lot of the healing, the inner work, they're journaling, they're going into the, subconscious reprogramming, all of those things, but they never take the action. The action
mm.
doesn't get less scary. You just learn to like manage that fear or manage that discomfort. And they're just not willing to do that usually. But yeah, there's always, I think everything for everyone in those first 7 years is like where most of that anchored in. And there's so many times where it's like, it was reflected back to us that who we are wasn't okay or it wasn't
Mm,
acceptable or it wasn't going to be the thing that got us, loved, connected, attention, whatever it
mm.
was. And we anchor those in. But at some point you have to choose that no longer gets to hold you back and start
Yeah, I think you
moving
have to
back.
get to a point where, okay, what I'm doing isn't serving me
Right.
anymore.
Totally.
And yeah, I mean, is it your story? It's likely not, because you're born into a religion. You are
Yeah.
heavily influenced by mum and dad, especially mum early on, and then
Hmm.
dad kicks in, and then society and all that sort of stuff. I have a It's a really interesting exercise that I do with patients who they, as you were talking, they get stuck in that I can't, because they can't even finish the sentence, but you could
Yeah.
hear just mum and dad talking in the background. I said, okay, I want you to make 3 lists. Write 3 things positive about your mum, 3 things negative about your mum, 3 things positive about dad, 3 things negative about dad, and now 3 things positive about yourself and 3 things negative by yourself. And more often than not, those lists are identical,
Yeah.
absolutely identical. From a, I guess I'd say a psychic, trend. As you were talking, the Einstein quote came to me, which is, the problem can't be solved with the same thinking that created it.
Mm.
So if you're stuck in life, no matter what area you want to go, there's a fear of, moving forward or embodying what you want, etc., etc. From a psychic viewpoint, so transcending the problem. Here's the problem. So we need
Yeah.
to transcend the problem to see the bigger picture of it. Psychically, or non-physically, I should say, what would be, if there's a lesson where you come in and choose your family,
Hmm.
choose mum, choose dad, there's, you've incarnated for a purpose.
Hmm.
And then can we program our entry into this world to make it so difficult for ourselves to then come out of that stronger? But again, there's always a choice, right? We can stay, or we can
Yeah.
lift the
It's
weight, or not.
It's always a choice and always an action. And I say that without any judgment because it wasn't until I was 37 that I took a different action. Like
Mm,
I chose this cycle and stayed for a very, very long time. Um, and even at times when I felt it wasn't conscious, it was because I wasn't willing to face some of those bigger fears that I had, psychically and just from like a higher perspective. I do believe our soul chooses our
mm,
journey. And we map these things out. And when I've channeled, I mean, this is literally what I've been shown is that we come here with a very specific plan of what we want to achieve, but we also come here with, and I say achieve by like the wounds you want to shed across all
mm,
lifetime. The parts, not just like from a 3D perspective, but the things that we want to overcome in this lifetime. And at the end of the day, our purpose is to become ourselves, who we truly are, and tap into our unlimited potential as a creator to continue the creation of like God, source, spirit, right? Like to really come through that. So I do believe, and from what I've seen and channeled, we pick it all. And
mm,
then we have free will here. So it's always just that choice point of like, are we going to follow it? Are we caught in the programming? And, it's, you kind of circle that again and again and again. until you make the decision that actually pulls you out of whatever that cycle is for you.
Yeah. And I think if we don't do it this lifetime, we're going to reincarnate to do it again and again
Totally.
and again and
Until you
again
cycle. Yeah.
until, yeah. And I think in this lifetime, a lot of people say, oh, I want to achieve this. And you're going to reincarnate a billion times if necessary to come to the point where I don't need to achieve this. I just need to allow it.
Right. Yeah.
Because as you were
Truly.
saying, when you do your calling, everything just flows, and it's
It
just,
does.
you let go of the oars and just float.
Yeah, in ways that doesn't make sense. Like, that is the one thing I always tell people is I had so much fear, and I did not need to have the amount of fear I had. Even the whole first year that I was doing this, it was always like, is this going to last? Is this going to continue? All of those things. But it's like your purpose is so divinely supported. All you have to do is like allow it to unfold, because every step is always put in front of you in the most crazy ways. You could be talking to someone at the coffee shop, and the thing that they say is like the next step you're meant to take. Or, even in this conversation, there will be nuggets that we can be like, oh, that's the thing, like there's, everything is always right in front of us, because this is a mirrored reality. And so that next step is right there. And if you can just take it and surrender into that process, it always catapults you to that next level of more and more freedom, more and more being yourself.
You've just reminded me of an old client's friend who is German, and she was here on I can't remember the name of the visa, but she could only work 20 hours a week and study and all that kind of stuff. So she had very, very limited space to move.
Sure.
And she was in this bridging visa thing, and my client asked, because she's starting to worry about her friend. She was starting to kind of, spiral in a suboptimal direction. She says, what would you do? Like, how do I help her? I said, I think she was working at a restaurant and 2 cafes just to pay rent. And I said, well, what I would do is whatever I'm doing, if I'm serving coffee, if I'm making the coffee, same with the food, whatever it is, I'm just going to be the best at it.
Yeah.
Like, even if I hate it, I'm just going to completely dominate. If I'm going to make coffee, I'm going to be the best coffee maker, and I'm going to study the craft. I'm going to talk to people who have done it for a long time. If I'm going to be a waiter, I'm going to be the best waiter I can possibly be. Yeah. And as I was saying that, my client was like, yeah, let's do it. She got like really ramped. I was like, oh, okay. And from that conversation, I completely forgot that conversation ever had. I'm sort of blessed with the short-term memory. And next, I think 3 times later, I saw the client. I was like, oh, how's your friend doing? And she said, well, I told her what you said. Well, not that you said it, but gave her that advice. She decided to take that on. I don't know if you know much about Germans, but very, 100 miles an hour in that direction.
Yeah.
And not only, so first of all, she took that 6 months later, after adopting that attitude, the owner of the cafe she was working was so impressed that he decided to open up another franchise, and she wanted her to run it.
Wow.
When she accepted that, her visa came the next day.
That's amazing.
So it's just incredible that
the way it is always lined up for you.
Yeah, it really, really is. And even for me, so much resistance going out of, a salary into whatever I do now. It's like my worst week is still better than my best week doing what I was doing.
Yeah, that's so true.
Because even if I can't, the numbers in the bank account aren't to my ego's liking, I'm like, I have so much freedom. I get to talk to people that I wouldn't have talked to, and connect and just get creative, share ideas, and just have a time.
Yeah.
And fulfill some soul contracts that we would have made at the
Yeah.
soul bar pre-incarnation. So
Totally. Yeah, it's like
it's
your worst day in pursuing your purpose is always still gonna outplay the
yeah,
day that you are living for, well, essentially selling your soul to the system when you're,
yeah.
kind of all stuck in that cycle. That's what it feels like. That's what it felt like for me. I felt
Mm.
like I was suffocating.
Yeah, I mean, the prostitute archetype can be quite powerful, and a lot of
Yeah.
people associate the prostitute with just sex, but it's essentially just paying to get a result,
Yeah, totally.
really. Yeah. I heard you talk about a concept of the difference between being visible and being seen,
Yeah.
which I really liked. Can you elaborate on that for the listeners?
Yeah, for sure. So being visible is showing up, posting the content, creating, putting yourself out there in some way, getting on stage, speaking up in the meeting, you're visible. But to be truly seen is to be who you are. So I have like creators that I work with. I have one who has over 1 million followers. You would think this person is very seen. They are
Mm,
visible. The
mm,
following that they have built isn't necessarily authentic to them. And so they're kind of finding themselves like, oh, I can't be who I am to my following. I
mm,
have to like post a certain type of content. Like I can't be myself. I can't say the thing I really want to say.
mm,
I can't do the thing I really want to do. And so being visible, you're still living in an invisible cage of who you're allowed to be, what you're allowed to say. You're usually watering down your message. You're speaking to everybody, so you're speaking to nobody. You're not doing or saying what you're actually meant to. You're not expressing your truth. To be seen is to like allow people to witness you in all aspects of your life, not just online, but it's like in every aspect, relationships, work,
mm,
whatever it is, with whoever you are in that moment, like whatever your truth is that day. It's not even like a set messaging thing. It's just like, who are you today? What do you have to share? Is there a truth that you know to be true about the world? Are there things that you want to
mm,
express? Like that's to be seen. And I think we have a lot of visibility online, but we have very, very little people who are actually being seen. And we're going to see a huge shift with that in the next year. Like that's no longer working.
mm. Yeah, it didn't work that well, did it? I think,
No, there's good
uh,
years for a few people, but that's it.
mm, I think COVID really had a big make or break
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of people for that. And you just reminded me of an influencer
Mm.
that I was coaching last year who, to look at her, genetically, won the lottery.
Yeah.
Absolute, stunningly beautiful. And she came with depression, and she's got
Mm.
X amount of followers. She doesn't really need to work. She gets paid to use products. She gets paid to wear clothes. She gets
Yeah.
a retainer or whatever that's called. I don't know how it works.
The brand
Um,
deals.
and she said, I can't leave the house unless I'm full kit, full, I've got to promote the product. I've got to make, I think in a contract, it was 7 posts or reels or something a day,
Yeah.
something like that. And she said, I'm just exhausted. I just want to wear Ugg boots and my gown and
Yeah.
watch TV all day. Or just want to go to the shop and not have the mask on, which
Yeah.
what you were talking about, where the person with 1 million followers isn't, it's not them in a
Right.
sense. They have to create a shadow,
Mm-hmm.
psychologically speaking, and then they have to wear a mask because they're
Yeah.
that for this group, and then they have to be that for that group, and they have to be that for that group, and then maybe they go home to their partner and they have to be another person, and
Yeah. You're a bunch of
that's
compartmentalized personalities.
that's just exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah. And most people who are online, that is what they're living. Like who they are online is not who they are in real life.
Hmm.
Um, I would say like 99% of people, there's very few who are truly in their authenticity. And part of that is planetary, like the way astrology and human design are all lining up, like authenticity as a frequency is just really now returning to our planet. So
Mm,
people didn't even really know, like that creator I work with, no idea that that's what they were building. They had no idea. Like
mm,
they didn't understand. They're showing up in the way they could at that time, and then it's easy if your videos perform, it's easy to keep doing that thing, right? Because you get that positive feedback loop. It's easy to
mm,
try to like just stick to the trends or whatever. And then you become, a shell of a person. And then, like you're saying with that client you were working with, it's like there is no freedom in that. There's
mm,
like truly being your authentic self is the only way to be free in this world. Otherwise, you will just, she's working for somebody with those brand deals. Like she's at, but you might as well be in a corporate job at that point, right? You're exhausted. You're still having to do things you don't want to do. Yeah. And I work with a lot of creators with big followings, and they are terrified to leave the house, not
Mm,
because they're afraid of what happen. They're afraid to be seen as who they truly are. If they're
mm.
not like fully done up, or what will they see? You know, there's so much there. It's sad to see, but we are currently in the process of that, like, unraveling.
Yeah, nice. What would you say to people who have, well, they have a lot to give, let's say,
Mhm.
and they're scared to give it, not because, I guess, in a way, there would be an element for them, there'd be a fear of being themselves,
Mhm.
but more there's a fear of the backlash that's going to come back to them, like the
Oh yeah,
trolls,
that's
if you will.
one of the biggest reasons, right? Everyone's afraid of rejection, humiliation, abandonment, you know, being made fun of or mocked. The thing is, one of the things I always teach people is social media is a mirror to your
Mm,
life. And so if you are holding these wounds within your energetic field, you will experience them. So if you hold shame, there will be people who will trigger that shame with those negative comments.
mm,
And so you really have to detach from the outcome, good or bad. Like, you also can't
mm,
make a big deal about things going really well, and if your video goes viral or whatever, because again, you get attached to whatever that external is. But the thing is, nobody can reject something in you unless you're rejecting it within yourself.
mm,
So if I get triggered by a negative comment, I'm just like, "Oh, there's something here that I need to look at." Otherwise,
mm,
I don't even pay attention to them, notice them, or see them. So it's really like, in some ways, you can thank the haters for that, because they're just showing you an
mm.
area of your soul that's ready to, like, heal.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time it's, I've always said that if you don't have something for you that's authentically yours, you're going to become a vacuum for everyone else's shit.
Yeah, totally.
Just the way polarity works. As soon as
Yeah,
you have something empty, you create a negative and you're going to attract the positive to it. It's
right.
inevitable. It has to
Yeah,
happen. I just hope the thing that they have for themselves is something that they want,
right. Always. Yeah.
because it becomes very, very, very heavy.
Yeah.
Um,
I always say to people too, like, are you not going to do the thing that you want to do because of a bunch of unhealed people on the internet? Like, when you
mm,
really put this into perspective,
yeah,
you
yeah,
don't know these people. They're no threat to you. Like, it's not your family rejecting you. It's not whatever. I mean, in some cases it is, but like, for the people who are really afraid of those negative comments, it's like, who cares? So you're going to
mm,
not reach your potential because of what somebody across the country may or may not think about you. And trust me, most people aren't thinking about you. Even if they did leave a negative comment, they've already, like, nobody cares.
mm. I mean, no one
Yeah.
thinks about you more than you do.
Right. Truly.
Yeah, and it's social media is a funny thing, isn't it? Because we all want to be that certain status. What status I get, I don't really care. I just enjoy sharing.
Yeah.
Um, but I know a lot of people have that fear of just putting themselves out there, doing the transition, be it career or just sharing
Yeah.
themselves. Chris, I
I mean,
told you, but sorry, finish your thought.
it's embarrassing to try to be something new, or to try something new. Like, it's embarrassing to be seen in your process. So it's like, there is difficulty there, but it's so worth it.
It is worth it, and not only it's worth it for your heart. It is
Yeah.
worth, if I say something and a bunch of people come at me with, pitchforks and fire, which would have happened in past life, guaranteed. But anyway, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm forgiven. If all that happened, you're still telling your truth,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah.
really not only does it take a load off the mind, but it's a spiritual, what am I saying? Living a congruent life, living your truth
Yeah.
is a spiritual calling,
Absolutely.
and that
Absolutely.
filters down into the physical.
Yeah.
I mean, how many diseases do you think could be alleviated just if people spoke
Oh my God, all of
their
them, like
truth? Yeah.
literally all of them. I truly believe pretty much all of them would be eliminated through that. And I actually have a lot of clients who come to me with crazy chronic illness, like things that they have been going through for years and invested so much money in healing.
Mm,
And once they finally overcome their fear, those things disappear without any further intervention. And I know it for me, I had thyroid issues.
mm,
As soon as I started speaking on social media, as soon as I started sharing my
mm,
story, it was gone. Like
yeah,
and I didn't even intervene with it. It was just gone.
yeah.
Um, because it's all rooted. Like I said, I really truly believe it's those core wounds: fear, shame, scarcity, anger, guilt, unworthiness, and
Mm,
shame are the ones that if you clear those out of your system, like you're clearing out the physical vessel too, you know?
mm. And I mean, they all essentially, they're a branch of fear to a degree. And
Yeah.
if do you know Zig Ziglar?
No,
Oh, I think you'd like. He's a motivational speaker, but he came up with an acronym for fear, which is false evidence appearing real.
I've heard that acronym.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we make the story real to the
Yeah.
degree we think about it, energize it. When there's still a thing there, then it
Yeah.
becomes energized. It creates momentum, and we actually attract physical matter to it.
Right.
That's just sort of law of attraction.
Becomes
Um,
it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that is actually
mm,
why social media is going to be your greatest healer, because if you're not getting views, if you're not getting engagement, there is a belief within you. It's never the algorithm. There's something within
mm,
you that's creating that. If you're getting negative comments, it's creating that. And, you know, it is just a mirror. It's literally a roadmap to your healing journey.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, I think everything's mirroring us back to
Yeah.
us. Um, as I was mentioning to you before we started, I teach for the Czech Institute, and every single class, many students, they're electricians, they're plumbers, and they want to get into I'll call it the healing arts, for lack of a better
Hmm.
word. So many students want to change what they're doing for a career, and because I have a similar story to, the imposter syndrome stuff,
Yeah.
and their story is, I need to know X amount before I can start, or I need so many certifications before I can start.
Yeah.
How does someone like that make the jump in your system?
Yeah. You just have to start. The biggest excuse I see is going and getting more certifications, as if that's going
Mm,
to be like the thing that makes you um, feel like you're good enough. And so you have to really look at, what parts of me do I not feel are good enough right now? And something I teach all of my students is that um, your frequency is everything. Your
mm,
modality, your certifications, your education, your whatever it is that you're doing in addition is icing on the cake. But your frequency is what's doing the work. So like
mm,
we all carry, this is very more metaphysical, but we all carry codes within us. Like we are born
mm,
with these codes of things that just come natural for us, or are the big things that we had to liberate ourselves from in this lifetime. And when we do that, we carry these codes that activate. So it's like for me, I have codes of liberation and visibility. So
mm,
that's activated within people. Me showing up in my authenticity does the work. My modality is icing on the cake, and it just really gives the conscious mind something to grip onto. It gives the
mm,
ego something to hold on to. But I have so many clients who will come in and be like, "Do you think I should get this other certificate?" And I'm like, "When you
mm,
booked me and you bought from me, what certificates did I have?" And they're like, "Oh, I have no idea." I'm like, "Nobody's paying attention to
mm,
that." I've
mm,
never once booked with someone because they were certified in something. I've never even checked. If I see something and I vibe with you, I'm booking immediately. And so you have to really sit there and look at like what part of me thinks that thing is going to validate me.
mm,
And if it's not important in my buyer process, it's probably not important for the public. So what am I actually avoiding by just trying to do the thing? The fear of failure, the fear of success, like, you know, from a personal experience, when I started sharing my spiritual gifts online, I had never shared them in real life ever.
mm,
So I had like one girlfriend that I would share them with, but nobody else like really knew. And I posted on TikTok, and 3 weeks later, my guides were like, now you need to start offering personal readings. And I was
mm,
terrified to do that. I didn't know if my gifts were real. I'd never had given a reading. I only had been channeling. So I was like, I don't even know how this works. And so finally I posted thinking nobody was going to book with me because I had maybe like 50 followers. And I had only been posting for a couple of weeks, and I posted that I was offering readings. Within 3 days, I had 70 people book with me.
Wow.
And was terrified to show up to those appointments because I was like, oh my God, what if I'm full of shit?
Yeah.
And what it came down to though is I had to just be okay to show up and be full of shit. Like I had to actually embrace that and be like, if I am, I'll just refund them. Like there's nothing I can do, but I'll never know until I do this. And so, yeah, if your students they just have to do it and, find people you can practice with. Find people that you can like put yourself in those uncomfortable situations. Sorry, I just swore. Am I allowed to swear on here?
Shit, yeah.
Is that okay? Sorry, I'm like, but yeah, so you just have to find people to practice with, be willing to put yourself out there, but you really have to just honestly look at why am I constantly creating an excuse instead of just doing the thing.
I think for most people, it's probably money, right?
In what way? What do you mean?
I think because they're in this job, stable, etc.
Oh yeah.
They change careers, but I mean, at least initially, they won't be getting paid the same.
Yeah.
So I feel that's a big thing for people as well.
Yeah. But the money's not going to come from a certification. It's not going to come from whatever the thing is. Money flows to you when you become the person who can hold it, when you become the person who feels worthy and deserving of it. And like you could be getting certifications all day long. That won't do that. You have to like really look within, but also maybe you don't have to make an overnight leap. Maybe you do it on the side until you gain that confidence. Like it really depends because some people will take that leap. And if their wounding that's in their field is not ready for it, they will fail. And then they're going to feel stuck and they're going to just go back to being in that cycle. So it's really like, what can you do to build these new programs, these new belief systems that actually support you doing the thing that you want to do?
Yeah, it's all largely it's the environment you're in, isn't it? To make it conducive to what you want, be it healing or transitioning careers and et cetera, et cetera. And even, the money's a funny one. I look at money as energy because when you spend money, you're energizing the idea of that thing. And the more you energize what's aligned with you, the more it comes up. I mean, we've all been stressed about money at some point. I know I certainly have.
Right.
Couple of years ago, I was scammed and I had $92 to my name. Oof. But then in that spiral, there was one part of me was just like, how the hell am I going to get out of this one? Another part of me was like, what a story. And that was, for me, I just got the impression of, every podcast you listen to of someone really successful and famous, every, documentary, when they're at their top, they always, what's the word? They always referenced their lowest point.
Yeah.
Like the richest people in the world have been bankrupt.
Right.
And I just thought, well, this is just my thing. And it's not really that bad. And then I remember that day I actually donated some money. And no, I didn't. I'm lying. I gave $20 to a homeless person, which I've never done. So I always thought, they're just going to spend it on drugs or alcohol.
Yeah.
Well, I'm funding a dream to some degree. And then like within a day, I had 5 new clients.
Wow. Yeah.
So it was just, that's just when you just let go of the what ifs, you just, you step into it.
You do. You totally do. And it's such a beautiful energy. So it's like, you got to surrender. It's the hardest thing. I have it tattooed on me because it's the thing I have to remind myself of all the time.
Yeah. I've just got hair. But Kristen, this has been a lot of fun. And I do thank you for taking time.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. And I enjoyed all of your insights as well. And you have a really unique perspective too.
I appreciate that. So please feel free to share any final comments or where people can find you and all the services you offer if people want to check you out and
thank you. You can find me at the Kristen Shea on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. That is also my website. I have different programs that are available depending on where you're at. So whether you want to find your voice and connect to your purpose, or if you're looking to really make that jump and launch into visibility and that next level of your identity, I have 2 different programs for that. The Ascension Lab is that first step, and then the Visibility Portal is that the bigger transformation there where you're really launching into visibility. But I provide a ton of educational content on all of my social platforms. So if you're just looking to kind of like dip your toe in and get started, that's the best place.
Yeah, I was looking at I was Instagram stalking you before.
Yeah.
Is that stalking? That sounds weird. Looking,
You're researching.
just going to keep digging my hole here. Yes, doing the research. That sounds way less creepy.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of videos, and they're for me they're spot on, and that's why I reached out to you to get you on, because they resonated with me, and I know a lot of people that I work with go through that, and I know a lot of the time I can tell them the exact same thing you would, but they need to hear it from someone else.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so guys, check her out, because not only is she on the money, she's sharp as they come. We can see what a genius she is, but also just an amazingly beautiful person. So check her out. Well, lots of love. I'll see you next time.
Sounds good. Thank you, Matt.
That's a wrap for another episode of The Body's Compass with Matt Sorensen. A big thanks to Kristen Shea for sharing her story. To find out more about Kristen, check out her Instagram at the Kristen Shea or her website, www.bio.site/Kristen Shea. If any of this episode resonates, share it with someone it might help. If it helped you, come back. Before you go, please take a minute to leave a 5-star rating and a warm review. It helps people find the show. Until next time.